Hello, and welcome to Storytime Adventures, where we tell stories for kids. I'm your host, Jackie, and I'm excited to share a new story with you today. Whether you're listening with your family at home or on a road trip like we often do, we hope our stories spark your imagination and take you on an adventure. Without pictures to guide us, using your imagination is like having a magic paintbrush, where the pictures in your mind are often more vivid and wondrous than any picture on a page. Before we begin, we want to give a big shout out to our listeners. Thank you for tuning in and supporting our podcast. If you enjoy our show, please leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform and share it with your family and friends. Stay tuned after the show for a fun activity that you can do with your family and friends that's connected to science, math, reading, or writing. Now sit back and relax and let your imagination take flight. We're excited to share this adventure with you. Rockin Adventures with Bot. Once upon a time, in a small town nestled at the edge of the vast forest, there was a lonely boy named Willy. Willy was an only child and didn't have many friends. He often felt isolated and bored. However, he found comfort in the woods, where he could build forts and let his imagination run wild. Willy's parents were always busy working, so he spent a lot of his time on his own. As Willy yearned for the kind of companionship and adventure that seemed to be missing from his life, he felt lonely as the other kids in town had little interest in exploring the woods or engaging in imaginative play. Instead, they were content to spend their free time staring at screens, lost in a world of virtual reality. For Willy, the woods became a refuge, a place where he could escape from the mundane and ordinary and unleash his creativity to craft a world of endless possibilities. One day, Willy decided to venture deeper into the woods, deeper than he had ever wandered before. As he wandered through the trees, he came across an abandoned clearing. The ground was littered with fallen leaves, rocks, and broken branches, and the air was thick with the scent of pine. It was the perfect spot to build a fort. So Willy got to work using his small hatchet to chop down branches and gather materials for his new hideout. As he hammered a nail into the log, he heard a strange noise. It sounded like something was moving through the trees. Willy felt his heart race as he looked around, trying to figure out what was making the sound. Suddenly, he saw a strange figure emerge from the bushes. As Willy approached the noise, he realized that it was coming from a strange creature that he had never seen before. It was a robot. The robot was a remarkable creation of rocks and twigs, roughly the size of Willy. It had a sturdy base of rounded rocks and thin branches that served as its legs, allowing it to stand tall and strong. Its arms were long and flexible, made of braided vines and adorned with smaller rocks that had acted as fingers. The robot's head was the most fascinating part. A large, flat stone with an intricate pattern etched onto it. A small crystal embedded in the center of the stone shimmered in the sunlight, casting a warm, golden glow. Willy felt a sense of awe and admiration towards the robot, as if it possessed some sort of mystical power. The robot looked lost and scared, just as Willy had felt a moment ago. Willy cautiously approached the robot and started to talk to it.
"Hello there, I'm Willy. Who are you?"
he said. The robot turned its head and looked at Willy with its large glowing eye. It responded in a robotic voice.
"I have no name, but you can call me whatever you like."
Willy smiled and said,
"How about Bot, short for robot?"
The robot seemed to like the name and responded,
"But it is. Thank you for giving me a name."
To his surprise, the robot was very friendly and seemed to be looking for something. Willy asked,
"What are you doing here in the woods, Bot?"
Bot hesitated for a moment before responding,
"I escaped from a secret facility. I didn't like the way they were treating me there, so I ran away. I've been wandering around the woods ever since, trying to find my way back home."
Willy's eyes widened in surprise. He had never heard of a secret facility before.
"Why were they keeping you there?"
Bot sighed and said,
"I was created to perform tasks for humans, but the people at the facility were not treating me well. They were making me work all day and night, alone in the dark. It was so lonely. I decided to leave."
Willy could understand why Bot had run away. He had felt the same way before, alone and scared.
"Well, you don't have to worry about them anymore. You're safe here with me, Bot. We can hide out here in the woods, play and be friends."
Bot's eyes brightened and it said,
Thank you, Willy. I would like that very much.
Bot was happy to have a name, and the two quickly became friends. Willy showed Bot his fort and explained how he was building it. Willy told Bot all the details and plans for his fort. Although it was currently just one stick nailed to a tree, Bot was fascinated and eager to help, and listened very intently. Willy looked at his watch.
Oh, it's time for dinner. I have to go. Will you be here tomorrow, Bot?
Bot's eye looked back at Willy and it responded,
Yes, Willy, I will see you here tomorrow.
The next day, when Willy returned to the woods, he was surprised to see that Bot had built an incredible fort all by himself. It had everything Willy had laid out in his plans the day before, except it was bigger and more impressive than anything Willy could have ever imagined. Willy was amazed and grateful for Bot's help. Every day after school, Willy would race to the woods to meet Bot. Willy and Bot spent their afternoons playing different games and exploring the woods. Bot was always up for any adventure Willy had in mind, and his robotic strength and dexterity made him a valuable teammate. They played hide and seek, tag, and even made up new games together. Bot was always eager to learn and play, which made him the perfect companion for Willy, who had always been a bit lonely and yearned to express his creativity. They would often climb trees, collect rocks and sticks, and even try to catch a fish in a nearby stream. Willy was amazed at Bot's abilities, especially when it came to catching fish. Bot would use his long arms to scoop up the fish out of the water, making Willy laugh at his silly techniques. Bot's curiosity and eagerness to learn about the world around him fascinated Willy. They would often sit together and watch the sunset, listening to the sounds of the forest around them. As they spent more time together, Willy learned that Bot was not just a robot, but had a personality and emotions too. He was grateful for their new friendship, and the days became brighter with Bot by his side. Willy had never felt so happy before. He cherished every moment they spent together. Willy knew he had to keep Bot safe and hidden from anyone who might try to take it away. Willy started using the fort as a hiding place for Bot. Willy kept Bot's presence a secret, even from his parents. He knew that if anyone found out about Bot, they wouldn't believe him, or they would take it away and Bot would never be seen again. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Willy and Bot continued to play and explore the woods together, always looking out for each other. Willy even started bringing food and water for Bot, making sure that it was well taken care of. One day, Willy heard a sound of helicopters approaching. He knew that the secret facility must have found out about Bot and they were coming to take it away. Willy and Bot started running as fast as they could through the woods, trying to escape the approaching helicopters. The sound grew louder and louder as they ran, and Willy could feel his heart pounding in his chest. He looked back and saw the helicopters searching, scanning the area, looking for any sign of them. Bot beeped urgently, and Willy knew they had to find a place to hide quickly. He led Bot deeper into the woods, jumping over fallen branches and dodging between trees. He could hear the helicopter getting closer, and he knew they didn't have much time. Finally, they came to a clearing, and Willy spotted a narrow cave entrance in the side of a hill. He grabbed Bot's hand and pulled him inside, crawling through the narrow passageway until they reached a larger chamber. Panting, Willy and Bot sat in the cave, catching their breath, knowing they were now safe from the helicopters. But as Willy looked at Bot, he realized they had a bigger problem on their hands. Bot's battery was almost dead, and they were far away from any outlet to recharge it. Willy's mind raced with ideas on how to recharge Bot's battery. Then he remembered a story that his grandfather had told him about a secret pond in the woods with magical properties. The water was said to have the ability to recharge anything that came into contact with it. Willy decided they needed to head to the secret pond, but he paused for a moment before leaving the cave to ensure the helicopters were out of sight. The woods were dense and dark, and the path to the secret pond was treacherous. Willy and Bot had to navigate through thick underbrush and over jagged rocks, carefully watching their every step. They came across steep hills that seemed impossible to climb and narrow streams they had to jump over. Willy could feel his heart racing as they led the way, knowing that time was running out. Bot was slowing down, struggling to keep up, but Willy refused to give up. He knew he had to find the pond quickly. As they continued their journey, Willy noticed the trees were starting to thin out and the sound of rushing water grew louder. They quickened their pace, eager to see the hidden pond. After what felt like hours of hiking, they finally came to a clearing. In the center of the clearing was a small pond, surrounded by tall trees and lush greenery. It was a beautiful sight, and Willy felt a sense of relief wash over him. He turned to Bot and saw the gratitude in his glowing eye. The water in the pond was cool and clear, reflecting the colors of the trees that surrounded it. As Willy lowered Bot into the water, he felt a sense of excitement and anticipation. Would this really work? Would his friend come back to life before his very eyes? Slowly, he dipped Bot deeper and deeper into the water until he was completely submerged. Willy held his breath, waiting for some sign that it was working, and then he saw it, a faint flicker of light in Bot's eye. As Willy continued to hold Bot underwater, the flicker grew stronger and stronger until it was a steady glow. Bot's body started to vibrate, and then, with a sudden burst of energy, he shot out of Willy's hands and into the air. Willy watched in amazement as Bot flew around the pond, swooping and diving like a bird. He had never seen anything like it before. As Bot's energy levels grew, so did his personality. He seemed more alive than ever before, and his movements were fluid and his eye glowing with even more intelligence and life. For a moment, Willy simply stood there, watching in wonder as his imaginary robot friend came back to life before his very eyes. He felt a sense of pride and accomplishment. He had saved his friend, and he had done it through his own ingenuity and determination. As the sun began to set and their shadows grew longer, Willy and Bot made their way back to the fort. They were tired but happy, and they knew that they had just shared an experience that they would never forget. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the woods, Willy's mom's voice drifted towards them in a gentle breeze. Reluctantly, he gathered the rock that had become his beloved robot friend, gently placing them back into the wooden box he had fashioned for it. Though he knew Bot was a figment of his imagination, the bond he had formed with him felt just as real as any friendship he had ever known. Willy's heart swelled with a mixture of joy and sadness as he said goodnight to Bot, promising to return tomorrow to continue their adventures. He realized that his imagination had opened a world of limitless possibilities, even with just a handful of rocks, and he felt fortunate to possess the creativity to conjure up an entire universe of his own in the woods. The end. We provided a link in the podcast description to download a free activity booklet that complements this story, Rockin Adventures with Bot. The booklet offers a range of activities to deepen your engagement with the story. You can examine the story elements to explore characters, setting, problem, and solution within the story. To explore nature further, just as Willy does in the story, you can go on a nature walk and graph the items you find along your walk. Additionally, you can make connections to the STEM engineering design process by creating your own nature art from the items collected on your nature walk. There is also a bonus creativity activity, so make sure to download your free copy today. We hope you enjoy these activities and have fun exploring the themes and ideas in this story.
Hey kids, it's time for some jokes. We hope our story today sparked your imagination and took you on an exciting adventure. But before we go, we have some jokes that are sure to make you laugh.
What did the rock want to be when it grew up?
I don't know.
A rock star.
Why did the robot go camping? He needed to recharge his batteries.
How do rocks like to get around? Rockets.
That's it for today's story on Storytime Adventures. We hope you enjoyed listening as much as we enjoyed telling it. We love it when our listeners share their projects and activities related to the story, so be sure to tag us at Storytime Adventures Podcast on social media. If you have any feedback or suggestions for future stories, please reach out to us at storytimeadventurespodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss an episode. Join us again next time for another exciting adventure. Until then, keep exploring, keep imagining, and keep dreaming big. Thanks for listening.
This week's bloopers were a little too good not to share. I hope you enjoy. What are you doing here in the woods, Bot?
What are you doing in the woods here, Bot?
No, not woods here, Bot. It's what are you doing here in the woods, Bot?
I'm saying it right!
Oh, yeah? Okay, try again. What are you doing here in the woods, Bot?
What are you doing in the woods here, Bot?
No, you say wood here. It's
Wood here.
No, you're saying it wrong.
Ugh, I'm done.